So in 2015, California passed a law called the California Healthy Youth Act. All right. Now, on the outside, this may seem like something innocent. Like, oh, they want the youth to be healthy. Well, that's not what it is. In fact, this is one of the most disgusting things I have ever seen being taught to our children. Now, we all know that the sexualization of, our culture is becoming a problem. We've got ridiculous numbers of babies born out of wedlock, and obviously that has a lasting impact on the child's health, everything like that. We don't need to go over all that in the video. But what this California Healthy Youth Act, it promotes healthy attitudes about gender and sexual orientation. All right, so even that seems a little innocent, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make this seem innocent. Right? They're trying to make it seem like it's not a big deal, that we should just accept this and we should be okay with this, right? But essentially, what do you think they're teaching about healthy attitudes about gender and sexual orientation? It's not about male and female. It's about how to be, transgender issues. It's about sexual orientation, being homosexual, things of that nature. We'll get into that. It gets bad, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is bad. So make sure you watch this entire video, because at the end, there's something that's happening on April 23rd that I want you guys to hear about to protest this, but this is absolutely insane. Now, it will teach students about the effectiveness and safety of all FDA-approved contraceptive methods and allow for objective discussion about parenting, adopting, and abortion. So rather than teaching, about safe sex, how to prevent STDs by not having sex, practicing abstinence, until marriage, all of that, we're just going to give the kids an excuse, a way out, right? And that's I think that's a huge problem, is that, when we start giving these kids a way out, I mean, that's like giving a kid with depression and being like, here's a gun, right? I mean, that's a problem. So they're going to teach them about the contraceptive method. So in case they get pregnant, oh, here's a pill to get rid of your pregnancy. Oh, you missed the time, the allotted time that the pill would be effective. Here's an abortion. Go into this clinic. They'll kill the baby for you. Don't worry. They'll kill the baby. I mean, this is insane. But it's going to be objective discussion, which I seriously doubt. As we move forward with this story, you'll understand why it's not going to be objective discussion. There's going to be no kids in the class there's no tolerance for people standing up and saying, I don't like this, let's practice abstinence or anything of that. That isn't going to be taught in this. It's all going to be this liberal, culture-morphing, agenda-pushing bullcrap that's going on. And this is insane. So, now the law in 2015 allows for parents to opt out. And I read that and I said, okay, well, as long as the parents can opt out if they don't agree with it, that's okay. I still don't necessarily agree with the program. I think it's disgusting that we're going to be teaching kids about this. I don't think it needs to be taught. It's such a small percentage of the population that's transgender. It's not pertinent to teach these kids about transgender issues. The point of education is to prepare them for the real world. It's to enhance the future generations to deal with issues they'll see in the real world, that they'll face in the real world. It's to prepare them for jobs, to prepare them to have a family, everything of that nature. It isn't to teach them about transgender issues. It's like 1% of the population, even less. Now they're saying it's a higher number, but those people, I guarantee you the majority of those are fake transgenders. That's a problem in and of itself. People who just want to fit in. But it isn't pertinent to teach kids. It's the same with homosexuality. The kids do not need to be learning about this, right? They don't need to be learning about this at all. It's stupid. So the law says that, if a parent wants to opt out, they can do so, and a child will not be punished academically for doing so. But in comes the Orange County Board of Education. The Orange County Board of Education, to be more specific, the Department of Education General Counsel Ronald Wenkart. And he came out on March 29th, and he stated that the opt-out provision, quote, does not apply to instruction materials or programming that discusses gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, discrimination, harassment, bullying, intimidation, relationships, or family, and does not discuss human reproductive organs. So he's saying that you cannot opt out of this. You have to sit there. Your kid has to learn about the struggles that a transgender individual goes through, because that's so relevant in their life. They have to learn about homosexuality. They have to learn about the organs and things of that nature, and gender identity. What do you identify as? Forget let's just eradicate biology from the curriculum altogether. Could you imagine if a kid's sitting in biology class, the teacher's sitting there, now there are 2 genders, and then he goes to this class, there are 76 genders. The kid's gonna be like, what the hell am I learning in this school? It's so counterproductive. Gender expression, however you express your gender, whatever the hell that means. discrimination, harassment, bullying. I get that. Discrimination, harassment, bullying. We shouldn't discriminate, harass, or bully people who are different. But we're taught that, right? You don't need to sit down and be instructed about how to be transgender just to learn that you shouldn't harass these people. I mean, we're taught in schools already. And if your parents are decent parents, they're going to teach you not to harass people who are different, not to bully people who are different. We all know that's bad. In fact, he actually cited a judicial precedent for the decision, which I'd like to see. I would like to see the judicial precedent that he cited, because I seriously doubt it. I seriously doubt there's a judicial precedent out there that it says that students do not have to, or do not have the ability to opt out of something of this nature. I mean, that would be absolutely insane. He goes on, any parents who disagree with materials related to gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation may not excuse their children from this discussion. Parents do not have a constitutional right to excuse their children from portions of the school curriculum that they find objectionable. Absolutely they do. All right? They absolutely do have the right to do that. It's a public school. All right? It's a public school. We're paying for that school. The tax dollars are paying for that school. They absolutely have a right to exclude their children from that. I'm sorry, but they do. I mean, I remember being in biology class, and we had this lab where we dissected a frog. And I remember the teacher coming to the front of the class before we dissected the frog and saying, if you do not want to participate in the dissecting of the frog, you can go to the library. You don't have to participate. Your grade will not be affected by that. And some people got up and they'd leave and they'd go to the library. Same kind of thing with field trips. If your kid didn't want to go on the field trip, or if the parent didn't want the kid to go on the field trip, they didn't have to go. They go to the library, go to another class, go to a study hall, whatever that may be. So yes, in fact, kids can leave if they don't like it. You're just trying to force them to stay in here so you can change our culture, so you can sexualize the classroom, which is absolutely, I mean, this is, at what point have we gone too far? At what point are we going to start fighting back? Some people are fighting back against this, which we'll get into in a moment, but at what point are we as a nation going to start fighting back? I mean, at some point, the majority of sane people are going to have to stand up and say, this is not good for the kids. I do not want my kids being taught about this sort of thing. And it gets worse, believe me. Like this is just the tip of the iceberg. The state approved a toolkit to go along with this, a toolkit for the course. And it includes topics such as lubricants, anal sex, and sex toys. So now, not only is your kid going to be learning about transgender issues, not only is your kid going to be learning about what it's like to be a homosexual, how to be a homosexual, not only is your kid going to be learning about gender identity, but he's also going to, he or she, or zer, is going to be learning about anal sex, sex toys, and lubricants. So the teacher's going to be sitting up there at the front of the class. This is wet platinum. Wet platinum. So you're like, no, this is insane. I mean, we are losing our minds. Our culture is going down the drain. The argument that was made when we legalized gay marriage, one of the arguments that was made, and we all said this is going to be a slippery slope. I'm not necessarily against gay marriage, but I knew it was going to be a slippery slope. I mean, once you start to push that line, it never stops. And this is the line continuing to move. It's a small portion of the population with the homosexuals. It's a small portion of the population with the trannies, yet we have to instruct our kids about it no matter how you feel. It's just a slippery slope. And that's according to Red State about the sex toys thing. Now, could you imagine, and then we'll get in because it gets worse. That's not even, it gets worse, trust me. Could you imagine if I were to come to the Orange County Board of Education and say, hey, you know what? I would really like to have a class that teaches kids about the safety of guns, gun safety, how to use a gun properly, how to carry a gun properly, how to take apart a gun, how to clean a gun, how to utilize a firearm, things of that nature. That would be shot down immediately. And then if I dare to come out and say, and then they have to be forced to sit there, it'd be insane. And we have a constitutional right to bear arms, and they still wouldn't approve that. I guarantee it. In fact, I would challenge somebody to propose that for the Orange County Board of Education. They would shoot it down immediately. Because if it goes against their culture and their mindset, then you can't have it. They won't have it. But this is just right down that aisle. You know, kids need to learn about this. Well, it goes on, you know. What if you, this is actually on page, in the guide, on page C51. What if you don't have the time or money to buy sex toys? What if you don't have the time or money to buy sex toys, right? Good question. That's a question that I think every child is at some point going to have to deal with in their life. Well, I don't have any time or money to buy sex toys. What do I do? Ah, thank God for the toolkit, page C51. It goes on to say cucumbers, carrots, and bananas with the peel make great dildos. Just remember to use a condom. So they remind you to use a condom, safe sex. But cucumbers, carrots, and bananas with the peel make great dildos. So if you don't have time, essentially we're teaching kids about the struggle of not being able to have the time or money to buy sex toys. Just go out there, get you a cucumber, head into the grocery store. They've got bananas. You can buy them for cents on the dollar. You can go there, you can get some bananas. You can get, you can get some cucumbers. If you graduate, you can slowly move in. Maybe you can just buy the whole fruit basket, and that works at some point eventually as well. Maybe you can get a plum. This is insane. I know I keep repeating that, but it's like, I don't know how to even cope with this. I don't even have to take these classes, and I still don't know how to cope with this. I graduated high school in 2014, and we never had to learn about any of this. Ever. I have friends in California who graduated high school similar time as me. They never had to deal with this. I have a friend, actually, I was just talking to him before I did this video. He moved to California. He moved to California after middle school. He went to high school in California. I just talked to him. I said, were you learning about this stuff in school? He's like, no. But now it's starting to become part of the curriculum. Now, there's a book that was also approved about transgender kids called I Am Jazz. Resources listed in the guide include Planned Parenthood and Advocates for Youth. So now we're going to teach kids about transgender issues. We're going to teach kids about being gay. We're going to teach kids about, what to use if you don't have money to buy dildos. We're going to teach them about lubricants. And by the way, leave out the abstinence, because that doesn't help us at all. Now, there is a silver lining to this thing, and that's that people are starting to wake up, at least to some extent, which I'm pleased about. A national sex ed sit-out protest has been planned for April 23rd, which that is Monday. So if you live in the Orange County area, if you live in California, anybody that is going to be affected or impacted by this law, I consider looking into this, or I would consider that you look into this. So April 23rd, it's a way to make people's voices heard. Now, this is excellent. Parents are encouraging to pull their kids out of school Monday to speak out against the sexualization of our children in the classroom. So if you live in California, if you're watching this video, if you know anybody that lives in California, contact them, or anybody that's going to be impacted by this, contact them, tell them about this, say that their voices can be heard, and there are ways to stand up against this. Because at some point, we need to fight back against the destruction of our culture. There is no need to discuss sex, any of that, in the classroom. Now, I understand sex ed, talking about this is what the penis does, this is what the vagina does, things of that nature. When you start to move into transgender issues, when you start to move into sex toys, when you start to move into things like that, we've clearly crossed a line. And we need to fight back against it. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to like and share. Leave your comments down below. How do you feel about this? Is this good or bad? Let me know in the comments down below. I will catch up with you guys next time. Bye-bye.